My name's Tommy Dykes, President, Certified Heating and Cooling. Started this company 16 years ago. Florida native, born and raised in South Florida, specifically in Fort Myers. Our role in this, it's kind of funny, it's not what we expected. You know, we have a storm like this, and luckily we had a plan B. We implemented pretty quick as far as generator power, internet resources, things like that, and we started answering the phone immediately. So our role in this is we're helping people, you know, put it back together how we can. HVAC in Southwest Florida is a huge deal. You know, one, obviously it keeps us cool and comfortable, but dehumidifies. So damage to a home is mitigated significantly if we can get those resources back online.
I'm Josh. I'm the install manager for Certified Heating and Cooling. On a normal day-to-day basis, we install probably 5 to 6 units a day. It's really picked up since the hurricane. We're seeing a lot of units that were completely submerged, and even some that are, you know, only a year old, and unfortunately these people are having to get full replacements because of the water damage. And because of a lot of the houses being down without power for a while, we're seeing a lot of growth issues, so we're replacing a lot of duct systems as well.
So our role has initially went from those folks who just needed their home back up and running, minimal damage, power was out for a few hours, to more significant damage to some of these homes. And now this phase is rolling into, you know, these larger condos that were near the beach that have taken a little bit longer to get to the point where they need our help. Immediately after the storm, you know, I think we all had our own version of shock. You know, this was horrible. I remember flying in a helicopter. The first day I mostly did Sanibel, and you know, you got that bird's eye view, you know, which is a little bit, hey, look down there, what's going on, you know. And it really didn't hit me. And then the second day we went down to Fort Myers Beach, and that's when I remember I broke down a little bit in the helicopter. I'm like, guys, I got to go back, I got to call it. You know, when you see the devastation, and then you really start picking up on what was going on there, you know, how many people lost their lives, and you know, that's the worst case, but livelihoods and homes and family heirlooms and everything that was just gone. You always hear of a storm surge, and you always hear of what the worst case can be, but by far this was the fruition of, you know, what a real storm can do to us.
Face our helicopter 144 Papa Charlie, flight of 2 helicopters with Echo departing to the southwest.
Number 144 Papa Charlie, Page from the L ramp, correct?
All right, Gavin, tell me, what was it like when you guys came up on the first trip after the storm?
So we came out, our helicopters were protected on the day of the storm in the big hangar. We came out the very next day, and we flew down the beaches here, and as you can see from, you know, the footage that exists from then, it was total devastation. Everything was completely covered in sand. The biggest shock for me was where, you know, there used to be the beach homes here. Obviously they were washed away, but not just that they were destroyed, but that they were completely washed away. All the debris was missing. But I guess the aftermath is even more compelling when you see it, when you see like whole sections of streets that have washed away.
So I'm owner of Certified Heating and Cooling, and then also a commercial pilot here with Str8up Aviation. So Gavin owns Str8up Aviation. I've partnered with him. We brought the helicopters in, and I fly for him quite a bit. So post-storm, we were doing a whole lot of aerial survey. Obviously the islands were off limits. You know, you couldn't even get a vehicle over there. Boat access was off limits. So we were doing a whole lot of aerial survey for people. Really, it was the only way to get over. We worked with some of the first responders, LCEC extensively, helping them evaluate their infrastructure, what was down, what was up, what they could turn on, what they couldn't, for all the barrier islands. So been a partner with Gavin here at Str8up Aviation for a little bit now, and it really helped us a lot. Even with, we flew Florida Structural Group around quite a bit. You know, they were getting inquiries on, you know, these condos and resorts. You know, they got multi-million-dollar operations, and we're in the blind. What happened? Was it there? How bad was the damage? You know, where are we standing? How long before we can get open? So a lot of aerial recon work that we did to help out to evaluate some of that. And then also for Certified, we knew we had some jobs that were coming up. We were able to kind of look at the rooftop and see and say, okay, you know, how many of these survived, how many didn't, and kind of get a baseline for where we were going when the island did open back up.
Just leave this box here. We're going to get rid of the box. And yesterday we were on a location where you ripped out an old unit and then replaced it with a split system.
Yeah, so that was out on Sanibel in a trailer that had probably 8 feet of water inside of the unit. She went from a package unit with all the ductwork running underneath her mobile home to multi-head mini splits. So it's got one outdoor unit and it runs to 3 separate heads inside to cool different sections of the house.
And then he's putting draw over there, and I'll just do one on each side, just symmetrical over there.
That's right, underneath the bedroom. And then he told me to keep this wall open, because this is going to be where you're hanging something on the side there.
There'll be a wall on that side.
There's multiple chapters to this rebuild. So right out of the gate, we were getting the frantic calls. You know, hey, I need this, I need that, and we were running a whole bunch of service at first. You know, it was the minor stuff that we could fix that we were going around getting everybody fixed back up. So now what we're starting to see is those projects are coming online, where we're going to start in on those where they're actually ready for us now, 60+ days after the storm. Man, key players, you know. Brian with FSG was huge. We're all local boys, you know, all of us, most of us went to Estero. You know, we got this little group here, not just Estero, but the whole surrounding area. But, you know, there was no I in this, you know. For one, nobody could do it on their own. You know, I don't care what you had. You didn't have all the pieces to the puzzle. So, you know, what I really saw Brian do, which is super admirable, was, you know, he pulled everybody together. You know, we had a team of people, team of contractors who had what piece, and everybody collaborated. And for the greater good of everybody, you know, it was a win-win-win all the way around for everybody. So it's been great. I mean, Brian has been phenomenal and really spearheading all this for, you know, all the contractors really, you know, getting everybody onto the island, connecting homeowners in association with contractors to get stuff done.
A lot of the troubles that we're running into now is not having power. You know, because once we can come in and get our units running, it helps with the dehumidification and getting the moisture out of the homes. So as soon as that house has power back, we go in there and we'll get our units started up. So even if they're not in there living at the time, like, at least we can start that dehumidification process, and they can pull some of these giant dehumidifying machines out of there and let the house kind of do it on its own. Try to keep that growth down.
Throughout this year with COVID and supply chain issues and things like that, HVAC components have been kind of tough to get as well. So we've stayed ahead of that. We had a strategy before the storm that was working pretty well. Some of the higher end equipment that had, you know, advanced components in them that were harder to get, we were stocking. So that Sunday, we ordered, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 worth of equipment. So that was initially from doing that, you know, where it helped us out. You know, there's going to be a lot of long-term things too. Even, you know, you might turn that power back on and nothing happens right now, but you're going to see down the road, you know, corrosion on some of these exterior surfaces. So, you know, like I said, go back to this rebuild. There's work, you know, there's things that are going to have to be addressed months, years from now that are going to rear from this, you know.
And I know we can't really prepare. We can prepare for storms, we can't prepare for surges, but most of the units we see are kind of raised up. Is there something that we're learning from this that maybe?
The amount of units that we're putting on stands has skyrocketed. You know, a lot of them are just on the hurricane rated pads. That's to code. There's a lot of customers that are now going for the metal stands, and a lot of places like on Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, they're going from stands that were, you know, 3 feet high to now they're building 12-foot high pads and platforms on the side of their houses. So yeah, the influx of that has been huge. Everybody doesn't want to have to do it again. Luckily for us personally, we didn't get much water damage. We got very, very lucky. But I've met more people in my neighborhood since the storm than I have in the 3 years that I've lived in that neighborhood. It was crazy seeing everybody come together after the storm. And then the more you go out onto the beaches, the more heavily hit areas, I mean, there's just people everywhere doing everything they can for their neighbors. It's been pretty cool to see everybody come together in such a trying time.
I'm telling you, on that Monday, you know, we had everybody on board. The team has been unbelievable. You know, everybody knew what they had to do. And, you know, it brings a sense of calmness back to you too when you can go put something back together, no matter how small or how big that is. You know, get somebody back up and running, get their AC, get the refrigerator, you know, everything ready to go, and then we're good to go again, you know.
Every day, I think I've had 2 Saturdays off. But other than that, we've been going 6 days a week from the Monday after the storm. It's rewarding. It's, you know, you have these homeowners who come up to you and thank you, and they're basically in tears. You know, you're making it so they can live in their house again.